10 seconds. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. and I'll call on Councillor Hanley to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations such as the Hadawandak, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live.
Thank you, Councillor Hanley. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, adoption of the agenda. I'll ask that we amend the agenda to move report PWCS 79-2024 respecting site alteration permit for 13030 Lundy's Lane until after closed session. There are 2 delegation requests on that item. Following closed session and business arising from closed session, the delegates will provide their presentations in accordance with procedural bylaw. PWCS 79-2024 will be considered immediately after the delegations. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the amendment? I got Councillor D'Angela and Councillor O'Hare. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And can I get a mover and a seconder for the agenda as amended? I got Councillor DeRose and Councillor Decker. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And I'll ask the clerk to read this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just quick to advise members of council, tonight's agenda is quite lengthy, so we're going to be keeping track of speaking time for all presentations, delegations, and questions from members of council. We'll be members for any given item will be given 5 minutes for questions in accordance with the procedural bylaw, and you'll be offered an opportunity to speak a second time once every member has had an opportunity to speak. No member will be allowed to speak a third time without a majority vote from council approving it.
Thank you. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes from July 9th, 2024? I got Councillor DeRose and Councillor O'Hare. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Mayor's report. On July 16th, I attended the Green Shipping Corridor Program grant funding announcement held at the St. Catharines Museum and Welland Canal Center. Algoma Central Corporation was successful in 5 grant funding applications from Transport Canada's Green Shipping Corridor Program. Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Transport, MP Vance Mattaway, made the announcement. MP Chris Biddle, CEO and President of Algoma Central, Greg Rule, and the Canal Corridor Mayors and Regional Chair, Jim Bradley, were in attendance. On July 22nd, I was joined by Detective William Murdoch, who is Yannick Bazan, BIA Chair Serge Carpino, BIA Committee Member and Councillor Mike Didavidas, and Fire Chief Terry Dixon for a photo. Murdoch Mysteries filmed part of an episode for season 18 on Front Street and Albert Street in our downtown. The scene shot in our downtown will be included in the 8th episode of season 18, which is expected to air in early January. This is the second time they have come to the city of Thorold. The first filming took place at Kiefer Mansion. On July 22nd, I attended a presentation from the Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities, Sean Fraser, hosted by the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce at Club Roma. The presentation was focused on housing-related issues and federal programs. On August 2nd, I attended the Mountain View Lemonade Day wrap-up event held at the Mountain View Building Group headquarters on Shimon Parkway. This year's event raised an amazing $90,023. All proceeds go towards sending children served by Fax Niagara to week-long camps as well as overnight camps outside the region. This event ensures that local children who might not otherwise have the opportunity are able to experience summer camp. Thank you, Fax Niagara, Mountain View Building Group, all the sponsors, volunteers, and most importantly, the kids who participated by hosting lemonade stands. The motto says it all, kids helping kids. On August 3rd, the anonymous donor, a City of Thorold business person, hosted another food giveaway, the 5th this year, for families and individuals in need. This event was once again held in the Holy Rosary Hall church parking lot. A huge thank you to the anonymous donor, Knights of Columbus members, numerous community volunteers, as well as Councilors DeRose, Hanley, and DeAngela. We are all thrilled to be a small part of this heartwarming community initiative hosted by the anonymous donor. On August 7th, I attended a funding announcement at Brock University. This announcement was Scotiabank's gift of $500,000 to Brock University's Indigenous Plus program dedicated to helping Indigenous students reach their full potential. August 10th, I attended the ribbon-cutting grand opening of F45 Training, which is located on the corner of Highway 20 and Cataract Road. I was joined by Councilors O'Hare, Sentence, and Regional Councilor Whalen. Thank you, Chico Andiri, John DeLuca, and the whole team for locating F45 Training in the City of Thorold, and we wish you much success moving forward. August 11th, Algoma Central Corporation's 125th anniversary celebration was held at H.H. Knoll Park in Port Colborne. I attended and presented Algoma Central Corporation CEO and President Greg Rule with a certificate of recognition honoring their 125th anniversary. Also present at the event were Canal City mayors, MP Vance Badaway, as well as Algoma employees and their families. Weekly community market and BIA car show update. Tomorrow, August 18th, will be the Thorold Reed Band's last show for the 2024 season. August 21st, the Cowboy Junkies will take the main stage. August 28th, LMT Connection. September 4th, the Mad Hatters. And the finale on Saturday, September 14th, will be announced shortly. For more information, please visit our website and social media feeds. The second annual Zombie Walk, hosted by the Thorold BIA, takes place on Wednesday, August 28th at 5 p.m. The Undead Parade through downtown Thorold is a free, family-friendly event with prizes for the best dressed. It begins at the Parkette in front of the Hydro One building and ends at the Battle of Beaver Dams Park, where our Wednesday community market and car show will be happening as well. For more information, please visit the Thorold BIA website. The 2024 Harvest Fest, presented by the Knights of Columbus 2319, is set to take place on Saturday, September 7th from 9 to 4 p.m. at the Basciano Center. The move this year to a new venue for the third annual event will allow for more activities at the TCAG facility located at 131 Richmond Street in Thorold. This year's festival shows how our community can grow together with a variety of activities, delicious local food, creative talents showing their unique handmade crafts in a wonderful family event. Congratulations go out to the Niagara River Lions on winning the 2024 Canadian Elite Basketball League Championship. They defeated the Vancouver Bandits in the nationally televised championship game played in Montreal this past Sunday. The River Lions play out of the Meridian Center in St. Catharines, but the league office, the CEBL office, and the River Lion head offices are located in Thorold at 10 Albert Street East. In closing, Christine McMillan, wife of former Mayor Donald McMillan, passed away at the age of 97 on August 10th. She was very active in the education system, serving on various local boards of education for over 25 years, including terms as the first female chair of the Niagara South Board of Education and the Brock University Board of Trustees. She was recognized with an honorary doctorate from Brock University in 1989 for her years of service and remarkable contribution to education in Niagara. A celebration of Christine's life will be held at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Thorold on Saturday, September 21st at 11 a.m. And that's the end of my mayor's remarks. There are no presentations or delegations. There are delegations, but yes.
There's one.
This one will take place, it's a separate matter.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, yes, you're right. Okay, so we do have a delegation, it's respecting PWCS 73 2024 Tender Award, Pine Street Sanitary Sewer Replacement. I'll call on Bonnie Hanley, resident, for her delegation respecting PWCS 73 2024 Tender Award, Pine Street Sanitary Sewer Replacement. And Bonnie, welcome to the podium. And you'll have 10 minutes and questions after your presentation.
Not on. There, am I on now? Okay.
So state your name and address
Yep.
before you start.
Bonnie Handley, 183 Pine Street South in Thorold. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councillors. I'm a lifetime resident of Thorold for over 60 years now. The issue today is the City of Thorold planning on installing sidewalks on the west side of Pine Street between Chippewa and Beaver Dams. I am here to request for myself and other homeowners in this area to not install sidewalks on the west side of the street. In the 60 years I have lived in Thorold, there has never been sidewalks on the west side of Pine Street between Chippewa and Beaver Dams. I'm hoping everyone has taken the time to read our comments submitted by the PIC that took place in June and understand our concerns. The main concerns here are loss of parking, as there is no parking on either side of the street. Some residents have widened their driveways to allow for additional parking, and privacy. As people are walking up and down the sidewalk, it is close enough to see right into our homes. Pictures that I'm showing, the red lines are where the sidewalk is to be placed, which is right into the middle of our properties and right across the middle of driveways. If you can go to the next ones. So top right, or top left, sorry, that is my property. And right to the right is a plant base and a light post. The sidewalk is going to be right there. How long is my light post going to be? It's going to eliminate parking on your own driveway where's a two-car family supposed to park. There will not be enough room in front of the sidewalk or behind the sidewalk for the average car. As far as privacy goes, 177 Pine Street at the corner of Chippewa and Pine, the sidewalk will be a handshake away from the fence in front of their home. 179 and 185, the sidewalk will be in the same situation, a handshake from the front porches. 181, the sidewalk will be very close to the front windows, just to look in. 183, my property, the sidewalk will be right next to my garden and light post. Again, how long is that light post going to be there? 187 will lose part of a bush in front of their house by putting a sidewalk in. 189, the sidewalk will be too close to their porch. On June 18th, when the lines were drawn to show where the sidewalk would be going, myself and another property owner had a discussion with Abub about the placement. He stated there may be able to move it next to the curb at the road. He stated he would put in the suggestion and it would be up to council to agree to move it or to leave it as is. It's come to my attention, this was never submitted to council. I also have a question of how sidewalks will be installed across two of the properties which have a 8-inch drop from their driveways, from the property onto the driveways on both sides. How is that going to work? I asked council today to please take into consideration our concerns and agree sidewalks should not be installed on the west side of Pine Street. Take a drive down Pine Street and let me know if you would want a sidewalk in the middle of your front yard if you were living there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bonnie, and I'm going to open the floor now for questions to Bonnie, not questions on the report. That'll come when the report hits the floor. Okay, go ahead to Councillor Doros.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Bonnie. Bonnie, how many houses are on that block from Chippewa to Beaver Dams?
6.
Okay, and everybody's on the same page, because I know I came out and visited you guys, and,
Yes.
okay.
I believe almost everyone submitted a
Yes, I read that.
reply.
Yep, thank you.
Go ahead, Counselor DeAngelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to, you made a comment, I'm looking for your preferential decision. A, not to have the sidewalks at all, or B, there was talk about potentially putting them at the end of the driveway, but it wasn't, in your presentation, you just mentioned that, but I didn't know
Yep.
if that was an alternative.
We would
that you
prefer
want.
no sidewalk.
No side, so that's your preference?
It's leading to nowhere.
No, it's
Yep.
clear, because I understand.
That's just what he brought up, and it was like, okay, well, we'll run with it, but
Yeah.
personally, none of us want a sidewalk.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, there is a sidewalk on the other side of the street.
Exactly.
So it's not like there's no sidewalk in that area. And Pine Street in that area is very, very narrow, so there's no parking, and we have enough parking problems in our community to deal with. Taking parking spots away is not an ideal
Exactly.
situation. Thanks, Bonnie.
Any further questions? Did you have a question? Oh, no, I was just... I got Counselor Sentence and then Counselor Ditavides. Go ahead, Counselor Sentence.
No, I'm good, Mr. Mayor. That, my question was the same, Bonnie, if you had a preference or if you wanted one on the, towards the curb, but you answered it to Councilor DeAngelo. Thank you.
Counselor Ditavides.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So Bonnie, if they put that sidewalk there, you're gonna lose a parking spot? You only can park one car in your driveway then, after?
I'd be able to park two, but the concern is, I'm here representing majority of the 6 houses. My one neighbor will be down to one parking spot, and they are a 2-car family. And
Yeah.
it's gonna, it's not benefiting anyone, first of all, and everyone loses a parking spot, basically.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, we don't need any more cars on the street there, especially.
Well, there is
Okay,
no,
thank you.
there is no parking on the street.
No, I know, but people will be parking there if you lose a spot, maybe. Thank you.
Okay, and Counselor DeRose, do you have a second question?
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, just a comment. After speaking to staff today, that option of going near the road for some reason because of the level drops on the properties is not doable. So once again, they're back in the middle of these people's driveways. I
Thank
just wanted
you.
to make that point.
Okay, is there any further questions before we put the report on the floor? And
Mr. Mayor, can I say something else?
allow that just
Okay.
quickly, please.
Well, my question is, and I don't know who can answer this, but how do they put a sidewalk in when your property goes down 8 inches across your driveway, up 8 inches across another one, and down 8 inches? How do they put a sidewalk in?
I'm not gonna answer that, but,
Okay.
I think we can discuss that when the report's on the floor. Okay, thank you. Okay. So in accordance with our procedural bylaw, the report will immediately follow the delegation. So now we need to put the report on the floor. And can I get a mover and a seconder for report PWCS 73/2024? I got Councillor Hanley and Councillor DeRose. The report's up, and now the floor is open for any questions. Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, first of all, I'd like Ms. Hanley's question answered regarding how they're going to grade the sidewalk, so that we're more knowledgeable.
Go ahead, Sean.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, when we have a grade change on a driveway like that, what we do is we start back middle of the lawn and we kind of slope it in and slope the grass out a little bit on both sides. It's very common. We do it on a regular basis.
So it sounds like there's going to be some alteration to the front lawn along with putting the sidewalk in. Personally, I heard from the residents here, they don't want it. There's viable options across the street. This one doesn't tie in. There's parking problems already in our community that we deal with on every meeting that we have the road safety committee. So I'd like to amend it so that there is no sidewalk put in for the section, that particular section that the residents are asking for.
Is the sidewalk in this motion?
Well, I don't know.
No,
if it's-
I understand where you're coming from. One sec. Sean, is this part of the scope of this, the sidewalk, or no?
Yeah, it's part of the tender award that you see there
Yeah,
includes the sidewalk on both sides of the road.
okay, thank you. So you wanted to amend that, Counselor? Go
Ye-
ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'd like to amend it so there is no sidewalk between Beaver Dams and, what was it, Shrine?
On the west side, the one,
Yeah, only on the west side.
the east side stays.
East side stays. We need a sidewalk, definitely. That's just a repair, that's a replacement of what's already
What's
consistently there. So I think that is a better option, given the fact that if we do that, there'll be parking spaces lost. There'll be additional issues with landscaping and sloping. So I'd rather have, listen to the citizens who asked for this particular section not to have it. And I think that's, again, we're not making a worse situation. We're actually improving what's there right now, and they'll be improving the road somewhat. Again, there's no parking on that street, and it's one of the narrowest streets. It's very, very busy. Thank you.
So the motion would be to remove that part of the cost from Chippewa to Beaver Dams Road on the west side, correct?
That's correct.
Do I have a seconder for that? Counselor,
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor. And could I make a comment also?
you can, I just want to make sure we got that on the floor and that's captured. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I grew up in that neck of the woods, walked to the bus stop at the corner in front of Mr. and Mrs. Sarcino's store, and it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. It's not even the cost, it's what the residents don't want it. So I support the residents on this. They have to live there every day. I don't think it's a necessity. Even the house with 2 children doesn't want it. So in my opinion, I'll second the amendment.
Okay. Are you going to add that into the,
In the process.
I'll wait till he's done that, then we'll put that up and we'll deal with the amendment. Do you want to speak on that? Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just had a question why we were looking at putting sidewalks in there anyway. Was there like, did they have to go in, or was it just,
Go ahead, John.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Pine Street is a arterial road in the city of Thorold, and our standard is to have sidewalk on both sides.
okay, thanks, Sean.
I'm just waiting for that amendment and then we'll put it up and make sure everybody's happy with that. Go ahead, Councilor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could ask a question doing this. Mr. Dunsmore, look, I'm on board with the residents at this time, obviously, but somebody said it's a sidewalk to nowhere. Are there any plans in the future to urbanize Beaver Dams Road and have a sidewalk continue towards Martin Street and so on, or?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that would certainly be on our plans in the future. It's not scheduled at this point in time. It is a regional road, and we will be, when they go to reconstruct it, we will certainly be asking for it to be urbanized, and we'll be paying for the sidewalk on that section as well.
Right, it's safe to say that's a number of years out from now?
A number of years out,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have another question while we're waiting here. Just through you to the staff. Pine Street, is that an area that we now snowplow? I know we do a lot of sidewalks within our community. Is that section snowplowed, not the east side, obviously, sorry, not the west side, but the east side? Is that one that's being plowed right now with the small plow that we do sidewalks?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, it is not.
No, it's not. It is an arterial road, Mr. Mayor, so I don't know if there's been any consideration given to the width or the location of the east side sidewalk. Just as they're redoing it, here's an opportunity to put it in a proper place or widen it if need be. Has that been considered at all?
John?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, it has. Our standard for arterial roads is to widen it up to 6.5 feet.
Okay. And then also, through you, Mr. Mayor, just the location of it, is it closer to the road so it gives some residents further parking, or is it gonna be very similar to where it's located right now?
It'll be very similar to where it's located right
Okay,
now.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so through you to Mr. Mayor, this would be item 6 to this. So I've just kind of reflected generally that essentially the entire work project is going to be amended to reflect that no sidewalk be installed on the west side of Pine Street between Beaver Dams and Chippewa. Let me know if that accurately reflects the amendment, and then you can vote on the full
I
amendment.
would put Beaver Dams Road in as Chippewa Street. Yeah, okay, just see. Okay, is everybody good with that amendment? Okay, we had a mover and a seconder for that. Is there any further discussion on the amendment?
If we could just correct Chippewa, I believe that's
Eh?
the spelling of Chippewa.
There you
Is that it?
Okay,
Okay, so
okay, so we had a mover and a seconder. This is strictly the amendment right now. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, now, the whole report, PWCS 73/2024 as amended. Is there any further discussion on the report as a whole before we take a vote? Go ahead, Councillor DeRose.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, does the numbers have to be changed to,
The amendment says that they'll be amended
Okay.
to reflect
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, the mover and the seconder we had for the original motion, so we've got that. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. Items for consent. Given the number of items on today's agenda, please note that you do not need to pull an item only to make comments. It is only required if you wish to make changes to the recommendations contained in the report. Is there a mover and a seconder to take the consent items as a block? I got Councillor Hanley and Councillor DeRose. But you can speak on one, but we're not, Okay? So we got a mover and a seconder. We've got them there. We don't vote on it. We can make comments before we do the final vote. Okay, comments on any of them? You had one that go ahead, Councillor DeRoe. Go ahead. 11-3. What's that?
the ones I wanted
Okay.
to speak on,
No, no,
sorry.
You're good. Go ahead, Councillor Longo.
I'd like to pull 1113, just have a question.
Go for it.
Go ahead and ask it.
Yes.
Pre-servicing agreement for Port Robinson Estates. I just want to make a comment and then a question. We recently had quite a bit of work done over in Confed here. Condrain was the developer, and they've done a great job keeping the neighborhood clean while they do this work. I just want to make sure, because we've seen the complaints in the past, Mr. Mayor, people in Port Robinson put up with a lot, and I just want to make sure that they are going to be equally satisfied that when work is done out there, their existing roads are kept clean so that they don't have to endure months and months of mud. So I read through the servicing agreement. I didn't really see that language in there, but I just want to make sure that this be in fact the case.
John, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we will certainly stay on top of them. I will tell you, the contractor that I believe is doing the work has been notorious for being dirty. So we will certainly stay on top of them, and we'll get them out there as often as possible.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That being said, is there any way we can stop work if they don't meet our standards?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, absolutely, yes, yes, we can.
And we'll be able to enforce that?
Yes?
Okay, so when the phone calls come, Mr. Mayor,
We send them to Sean.
we know where they're going.
I usually get there before you anyway.
Go ahead, Councillor Hanlon.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can I ask, and, this comes up several times and has over the last few years, why haven't we yet to put a policy in place that addresses this through the site plan agreement or through the construction of works agreement, instead of council having to bring it up all the time? Because I hate to say, I don't take Sean's word for it, but the contractor might say, hey, I got a contract here, it doesn't say anything about me to clean the streets. So I think it would be, let's be proactive here. It's come up several years that, do I have to put a notice of motion forward in regards to having a policy in place that it's part of the site plan of subdivision, the agreement that we put in place? We've been dealing with this for years, so I think it's time we have something in place.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it is in place. It makes up part of the subdivision agreement every time we.
That does?
Yep.
But it's okay, because like he says, when you go through this, it really doesn't state that in the report that's for us tonight, the pre-servicing agreement.
Okay.
So
We will-
even in the
we will amend-
pre-servicing agreement, I think it should be something that should be upfront and not in the plan, in the pre-servicing agreement, so they know from the get-go.
Yep.
No.
Yeah,
If
for
we
sure.
could-
Point well taken, Councillor
Okay,
Hanlon.
thank you.
Anyone else? I know that Councillor D'Angelo, you had these motions that you added. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So I'll start with 11, it's 11-1, 11-2, and 11-3. I'll start with 11-1. It's a resolution from the town of Lincoln, request provincial government to support increased funding for public libraries and community museums. In their motion, I'm not going to read all the whereas, but what they have is therefore be it resolved that the town of Lincoln Council urged the provincial government to support increased funding to both public libraries and community museums, recognizing these institutions as national assets and strategically investing in their potential will contribute significantly to renewing post-pandemic social cohesion, economic well-being, and community resilience. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to receive and support this resolution from the town of Lincoln, and that we forward it on to the appropriate authorities or the appropriate levels of government, so that they know that the city of Thorold's behind this.
Okay, through you, Mr. Mayor, I've put that up on the screen. Councillor D'Angelo, you can take a look and advise.
Yeah, I'm pleased with that motion that's up there. It captures my intent, and I'm just going to speak briefly on it. Considering we have a library that's looking at expansion, and considering that we have a museum that's looking at expansion and finding its own home, I think it's critical that we look at some additional funding to make sure that these two institutions are prominent in our community and are long-lasting. So I do think this is a great resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to speak on that?
No, just second the motion.
Because it is a bit different than what was in the memo that was brought forth, perhaps we can do a separate mover and seconder, Mr. Mayor?
Okay, so Councillor D'Angelo, Councillor O'Hare. This is just on 11-1 then. Is there any further discussion on 11-1? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Okay, 11-2, go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 11-2, this one, I'm just going to, my recommendation is that we receive it and refer to staff. This is Development Charge Act exemption for affordable and attainable residential units. It is right now just mostly a memo, but the regional staff are directed to draft a formal policy regarding procedures to the authority and the administration of new affordable residential development charge. I just want to make sure that we look at that policy when it's developed and see how it meshes in with our own policy here in Thorold, so that we are helping to get affordable and attainable housing here in our community. So I just don't want it falling under the radar. It's one of the items that is in our strategic plan, and although it's not necessarily directly to us for the affordable and attainable housing, we play a role in some of the policies that can make that move a little quicker than normal. So I'd like this to be received and just to refer to staff.
And refer to staff. Refer. we've got that, we've added that it be received and and oh, wait. Are you seconding this one because it's a change, Councillor O'Hare?
Yes.
Okay, that it be received for information and be referred to the City of Thorold staff, okay? So that, because we made a change to it, we'll vote on that separately. Is there anyone else? I got a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, go ahead for the third one, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The third one is 11-3, which is this is a resolution for the municipality of Wawa regarding regulations and importation of safe use of lithium ion batteries. Their resolution basically, I'll just read it here. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby support the Ontario Fire Marshal's program to educate citizens on the dangers associated with lithium-ion batteries, encourage every municipality to actively promote safe practices for use of lithium-ion batteries, and furthermore, that the council does hereby call upon levels of government to enact regulations for the importation, sale, storage, and use of non-OEM or ULC certified lithium batteries, and that this resolution be shared with other municipalities. It names a few here, and also shared with the Ontario Municipal Fire Prevention Officers Association and all other municipalities. I think it's very important, since I know we're not dealing with lithium batteries in the new project that's happening in the southern part of Thorold, but we have had problems in the past with lithium batteries that have directly affected our community. So if there's any regulations, any promotion of safety, I think it's very critical. So again, I'd like to support this motion. So it's a receive and support.
Receive and support. Okay. Is there anyone else that wants to speak to that, Councillor Hanley?
Thank you, Mr. Just in regards to the lithium, like Henry brought up at Clean Harbors, the accident we had years ago, on the approval that council made in regards to the alkali battery plant that's in South Thorold, there was mention in there of a future lithium battery plant. Does the city have anything in place? Do they have to notify us that they start bringing in lithium batteries? Or they just start bringing them in? Because as Councillor D'Angelo points out, and we already, Thorold of any municipality in Ontario knows the results of a lithium battery explosion and the results thereafter. So through you to the chief, or to anybody in the city, we've approved this battery plant. What process do we have in place to assure the citizens that they're not bringing in lithium batteries without us knowing?
Does anyone on staff have an answer for that? I know the original motion was regarding alkaline.
Alkali batteries, but in that motion, in the presentation that they made to council, it did make the mention that in the future, there could be lithium batteries.
But our letter of support was for alkaline.
Well, our support was for alkali, but just for the fact that they mentioned it.
Yeah.
So my point is, we've approved the alkali, they start bringing in lithium batteries, has there be another process in place that they have to come for approval by council, or does that supersede the fact that we passed the original motion?
Through you, Mayor, to Councilor Hanley, at this point, there is no process in place for lithium batteries and how they maneuver them, how they keep them. This is part of the whole advocate to the province to kind of help guide all municipalities with this problem that's coming across the whole province. So this is a good thing to get the motor running up at the province, to get them to put things in place for a process for these companies to manufacture them.
I appreciate.
Or store them.
I appreciate that. In the interim, though, could the city of Thorold, knowing that we've already approved an alkali battery, put in a bylaw in place that if they do intend to bring in lithium batteries, we have to be notified? Because obviously, I respect the fact it's going across on Ontario, but we as a municipality have already experienced that. So I think it's legitimate that we have something in place. I would hate to think that 20 tons of lithium batteries show up there one day and water gets in them and we have this big explosion. None of us are aware of the plant.
Through you, Mayor, to Councilor Hanley, I agree. I don't know how we would regulate that for them to make sure that they communicated to us that this is the process.
Well, maybe we can get a staff report back from Chief Dixon.
Yeah, something like that.
And, but that, we'll deal with that after.
Yeah,
That's
later.
not-
I'm just saying, in the interim, that's all, just in case.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, maybe a suggestion, just so that we encapsulate what Councillor Hanley wants, is to put another resolution attached to this, that a staff report come back at a later date regarding how lithium batteries can be dealt with within our own community. And by that time, hopefully, there's some legislation that's moved forward so that it gives you some direction. I like the idea to be Ontario-wide so that we're all on the same playing field. But I think that's why I sort of brought this up, because I remember that discussion at that point in time. And without rules and regulations, you're at the hands of the corporations that want to do what they want to do. And again, we experienced one of the most horrific results of lithium batteries. I don't want that repeating itself at this point in time, so.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, what I suggest is, so I've got the motion that Councillor D'Angela was looking to put on the floor. If you wanted to review that and have a vote on that, you can put a separate motion, Councillor Hanley, with respect to what you're looking for right after this vote.
Please, thank you.
That's fine, I think that's, because this is a separate letter, yeah. We're supporting,
Yeah, the motion is good there. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I appreciate that. And I'll second the next motion that comes forward.
okay?
Do you want to just vote on this one here, and then
So
I'll
I
draft
got
the next one?
I got Councillor D'Angela and Councillor Hanley's gonna second this one, okay? This is the amended motion, okay, that, okay? Everybody good with that? Okay. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, now we want to add to that, correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to just draft that up really quick.
He's gonna draft that up, and then we'll, that's sort of like a separate thing to this one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I might want to add to this, perhaps we can have the Environmental Committee take a look at this as well. There has probably been some precedent already set in Ontario, so maybe we could also contribute to this. And I see the chair is in the audience today, so this is something that we can perhaps discuss in our next meeting or in an upcoming meeting.
Well, the staff will be looking after it. They can comment to staff.
Okay.
But the report will come to council.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Hanley, that is up there on the screen if you wanted to take a look.
Not just the transportation.
No.
The use,
The use or storage of,
the use, storage, and transportation?
yeah, use,
Okay.
storage, and transportation. Please? That's everything. Sounds good. Yes.
I got, so you're gonna move this, Councillor D'Angela's gonna second that one, okay?
Mhm.
And, our committee will be involved in working with staff. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments on items for consideration? Because now we're gonna vote on the other ones as a group. Okay, go ahead, Councillor D'Angelo.
I just have comments. This is on 11 bylaw division quarterly statistics. Again, I really appreciate this coming forward. It gives us some insight of what's happening in the bylaw department. And just a couple, I don't know if this was answered or, I know I asked it in the past, but I can't recall the answer, so I'm just looking for a refresher. When we have residential licenses, in the past, they used to be on the website, on a city website, so if someone wanted to check if a house is licensed, they can do that. That's no longer available, from my recollection. But I know we talked about this. I don't know if it's gone up subsequent to me asking about that, or if we can have
Jason,
some
can you
details.
comment on that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's if it hasn't been added to the website yet, which I'm hearing it hasn't, I'll look into it immediately.
Appreciate that. And then the other one is just comments. There's a section here that says signs, and there's only 4 in 2024 4 complaints for signage. Now, I'm just looking for a little bit of clarity. Does it include all signage? Because what I'm seeing is a greater usage of those signs they put on city property, advertising east trough cleaning, window repairs, everything else. It sort of makes our city look junky when we have all these signs everywhere. They're not paying for it. They're on city property. And I know last election, they came down pretty hard on councilors who had anything on city property that they were removed and brought to the facility here. So is that what the sign amount is on here? Just looking for clarity on that, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the 4 are the number of complaints we've received about signs that we've investigated. However, we have proactively removed hundreds of those type of signs from the city.
Can maybe in the report, if it's available in the future, just jot how many of those you actually take down. I think that would be good to know. And if you're doing that, that's great, because they seem to pop up, and the more that they pop up, then they get more and more, so that's good. Because I do see, and the other thing is, not to pick on real estate agents, but I do see more and more of them ending up on city property. So, and they're more of a permanent, not just like an open house where it's there for an hour or two. They're actually posting these with 4x4s into the ground on city property. That process has to stop. I brought a few of these up because now they're starting to become sightline issues for vehicles, and we dealt with this at the last road safety committee. So if bylaw could spend a little bit more due diligence on that, just to look at those. Again, we don't want any sightline issues regarding these, more of a permanent stay. And then I know something later I'll bring up is, I know we have community groups that put them on city property, but I think we need to develop a policy ourselves. I'll bring that up as a notice of motion, that we have a temporary usage for, whatever city event we're having that's sanctioned and supported by the city. If they want to put advertising on it, it's got to be out there for a small window of opportunity for them to do it. And then I don't want those signs removed, but I want them to have a process where they have to apply and the city knows where they're putting these signs up. Again, if you don't do that, then what happens is you end up with signs all over the place and it looks like a mess.
I think we do, but I'll ask Jason. I think we do have a short-term sign.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we don't have a policy in place. However, our current sign bylaw does have regulations in place identifying how long they can be up for, what type of sign or what type of events are permitted to be advertised. However, they are exempt from the permitting process, so the city staff don't actually get notified of it.
You want to refine that policy?
Well, I think there has to be some notifications. If they're going to be on city property, if they're not on city property, that's a different issue that we're dealing with. Again, not trying to create red tape here, but just trying to create some fairness in that those community groups that are looking for our support, we can do that, but in a fair and equitable manner. Because I don't want someone to come back later and say, well, you let them put it on, but you don't let me put it on. And there has to be a policy in place that makes that clear of what is allowed on city property at corners, which end up mostly at corners. So it's not directly tied to this report, but I'll bring a notice of motion at some point in time so that we can deal with that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And the other one I just wanted to highlight, that total active residential licenses are right here at the end of the second quarter is 1,049. That's the highest that we've had that are registered city units. So that's the number keeps getting higher and higher every year. Okay, that's all for my comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor De Davids, did you have a comment? I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question for Jason regarding residential licensing. Do we notify Brock and Niagara College about the places who have licenses in Thorold so they can post it on their web pages? Like Places for Students is a massive one that Brock runs. And it'd be nice if they post that these are licensed places in Thorold, they're approved. Does Brock and Niagara have access to our list, or do we share it with Brock or Niagara?
Through Mr. Mayor, we have historically always shared that list with the post-secondary institutions. I will verify that that practice is continuing.
Great, thank you.
Okay, is there any further questions on this report? Go ahead, Councillor Nye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Jason. Jason, thank you very much for these summations. They're great. They're really valid, so I appreciate it very much. I just want to ask a quick question about the parking tickets issued. In comparison to 2023, we've issued a lot fewer. Now, that's either, I would assume, due to either not having a full bylaw parking enforcement staff, or people are learning not to get tickets. Which one might it be?
Through Mr. Mayor, unfortunately, it is due to the your first suggestion. The beginning of the year, we were down staff. We didn't have parking enforcement officers for a little while, and therefore our numbers were significantly reduced as a result.
Okay. How are we doing at present in terms of staff?
Actually, our 2 parking enforcement officers just received promotions. And so we just recruited, filled one of the positions this week, and are hoping to fill the second one shortly.
Great, great, good news. Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing none, so now, we had a mover and a seconder originally, and we're gonna vote on. No, we did. Okay, 1 to 3 have been voted on separately, so we're gonna do 11-4 to 11-17, correct? There's,
Sorry, yeah, you're correct. We already dealt with 14, so.
4 to 13.
4 to 13 and 15 to 17. Okay, we had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, now we're into items for consideration. CLK 3, 2024, agreement to coordinate AODA compliance for 24 to 26, 2024 to 2026 for Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee member municipalities. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that report? Councillor Longo and Councillor Decker. The clerk's here to answer any questions. Is there any questions regarding that report? Right? One sec, the clerk will put that report up, and then if there's any questions for Nicholas, feel free to ask. Okay, are there any questions regarding that report? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. DS 34, 2024, Ontario Heritage Act, alternate notice policy. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that report? I got Councillor O'Hare and Councillor Longo. Are there any questions? Jason's here to answer regarding that report. Seeing none, all those in favor? Becker?
No, I was in favor.
Okay, opposed, that's carried. PWCS 62, 2024, Allenburg Area Traffic Study and Whistle Cessation Report. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that report? I got Councillor Decker, and can I get a seconder there, please? Councillor Dedivides, okay. Public Works and Community Staff can answer any questions. The report's up. Questions from the floor. Go ahead, Councillor DeRose.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can I ask the clerk if you could bring up page 2 of that report, the budgetary status? I just wanted to ask a question of just clarification. Possible?
Absolutely.
If I can, just give me a moment. You said page 2, Counselor?
Just so everybody knows what I'm referring to. Yes, please. Right at the top where it says budgetary status. Okay, so, just starting in the middle of the paragraph, the estimated cost for improvements needed to satisfy the criteria for train whistle cessation is $1,308,000. These investments will require further collaboration with the authorities and should be referred to the capital forecast for future consideration of cost sharing opportunities. Can I just get clarity from staff? Does that mean we're gonna put it off, defer it till that part of it? Or we have to, like, are we voted on accepting all of it? Or it's
That
just-
goes to budget, I think, but
Okay, that's what I was- yeah. That's what I want, so I
I'll have
hope-
Sean.
Yeah,
speak
through
up.
you, Mr. Mayor, that's exactly it. It'll be deferred to a future budget.
Great, okay, and then we're gonna try to collaborate with CN and Niagara Region.
That's right.
Good, thank you. So, and could someone just explain what exactly they're gonna do for that amount of money? I've seen the breakdown, but this is all foreign to me. I don't understand it.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the general theory behind the whistling is that because it's an uncontrolled intersection, meaning that there's no arms and no stopping at those, it causes the trains to have to blow their whistle so many times per crossing. And because there's 3 crossings of streets in a very short succession, it sounds like they're just blowing on their horn the whole time. So what we would have to do is come up with some sort of controlled crossing across those different streets, which might mean arms and redesign of the entire intersection between the railroad track and the road.
Okay, thanks for explaining. Appreciate it.
Are there any further questions on this report? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. PWCS 70-2024 Cemetery Administration Office Budget Adjustment. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this report? Councillor D'Angelo and Councillor Decker. Is there that report will go up, and then the floor is open for any questions for Public Works and Community Services staff. Go ahead, Councillor D'Angelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To me, this is a good news story. As we're working on one project at the cemetery, I guess it was noticed that they need to upgrade the electrical work, which will help the yard, and then it'll help the future mausoleum. So this is good timing, so I bet you we're saving a bit of money by doing it now, as opposed to waiting for that second phase to start with the mausoleum. So I appreciate staff bringing this to our attention. I know it's a hefty amount, but it's something that we need to do to upgrade the administrative building, which is what council has been really asking for, so we have service out at the cemetery. And then the secondary one is as we move forward with the mausoleum, which is very close to getting to the starting stages there. This is great news that we can move forward with this component of it and be ahead of the game. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak to that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. PWCS 77-2024 New Fire Station 1 Project Additional Scope. This item was amended through an addendum to the agenda published earlier this afternoon. Our city clerk can put the previous wording in the report and the current wording in the report. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this report? I've got Councillor Decker. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Didavides. Okay, we'll put the report up, and then I'll get you if you want to comment.
So, just to say that I have the prior version of the report here and the current version, just for clarity, so that you can see what's changed. You would have received the addendum earlier today. So I can display one or the other upon request, so they're available if need be.
Okay. And I had a mover and a seconder. Now the floor is open for any comment. Go ahead, Councillor Duros.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for a deferral to budget discussions for 2025 for this item, please.
Okay, do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Hanley. Okay,
Okay, so there's just the vote on it.
okay, because it's a referral to budget, okay? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So that gets referred to budget, 2025, excuse me. PWCS 81, 2024, 8 Carlton Street Furniture Award. This was also a minor edit to this report. The amount of the award was corrected and it now falls under the budget approval amount of HST, with HST included. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this report? I got Councillor Hanley and Councillor Decker. Is there anyone that wants to ask any questions of Public Works and Community Staff, Services staff on this report? Go ahead, Councillor Decker.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Now that we're getting furniture in the building, is there a timeline of when it's possibly going to be ready for staff to move over there to?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, last time I was in there, they were just starting to paint, and then they still have to put down some floors, and there's a 6-week lead time on the furniture, so it'll be 6 to 10 weeks before they can get in there.
That's great, that's good news. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. PWCS 87, 2024, proposed parking restrictions on Sullivan Avenue, Pamela Drive, and Lawrence Drive. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this? I got Councillor Hanley and Councillor DeRose. Is there any discussion on this report to Public Works and Communities? Right? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Hanley, and then I got Councillor DeAngelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. My only question is, with the restrictions on Sullivan Avenue, Pamela Drive, and Lawrence Drive to the appropriate staff member, does that now restrict parking on both sides of the street, or is that still allowable for parking on one side and not the other?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it is restriction on one side of the street, generally on the east side of Pamela and Lawrence, and the north side of Sullivan.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to thank staff. I appreciate them, because this came to our Road Safety Committee last week, and we asked them to bring this forward. The issue was timing here, is we want to get these no parking signs up before the school year starts, so it's not halfway through and causing further confusion. This way people understand right off the bat as Labor Day approaches. Once school starts, then these parking restrictions will be enforced. I did have an opportunity to speak with the original proponent, who suggested that we look at this because of the volume of traffic parking on there, and then leading to fire issues because you couldn't get the fire trucks or even some of the EMS trucks through there. After some discussion with him and then a further site visit, this was after our meeting, and I did consult with Councillor DeRose on this this afternoon. His suggestion was that we put it on the west side of the street, and the reason on the west side was, and I'll look to staff to see if they could give me a reason why it should stay on the east, but on the west side is all the hydro poles, so they could put the stop sign, the no parking signs onto the hydro poles, as opposed to if you put it on the east side, now you're gonna have to put in new posts at every in front of every house, which will cause some issues for cosmetics, issues for more signage, cost-wise. So I thought this suggestion from the resident was a pretty good one, so I'd like to hear from, I know we didn't have he gave that to me just over the weekend, so I didn't really have a chance to discuss this at our committee level, so I'd just like to get some staff response to that suggestion, and if that makes a huge difference. The Sullivan one would stay on the north because the poles are actually on the north side, and it makes more sense to be on the south side if you're dropping off children, because that way they don't cross the road. So that sort of makes sense. It's just looking at Pamela and Lawrence to shifting it to the west side of the street as opposed to the east side of the street. So I'm just looking for comments from staff at this point.
Go ahead, Sean.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the criteria we usually use to pick the side is we usually leave the parking on the side with the sidewalk, and I'm trying to look it up right now. I can't remember whether there's a sidewalk on either of Pamela or Lawrence.
Yeah, there's no sidewalks on either street.
Yeah,
so.
and then the other criteria we use is whichever one leaves more parking. And there would be more parking on the west side because you're outside the bend. But other than that, there's no good reason for us to pick one side over the other.
Okay, through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to follow the lead of the residents that live on that street, and the comment was to put it on the opposite side. The only one that has the criteria that we have from a city's perspective is the sidewalk. We meet that one on the north side of Sullivan, which is good, so that one's fine, but shift the other ones to the other side. I know it'll probably reduce a bit of parking, but at this stage, it'd probably be easier and quicker to put the signs up on the posts that are there, the hydro posts, as opposed to installing new signs on everyone's front lawn. So I'm looking, that's my recommendation, but I'm looking for others to comment on this too.
Go ahead, Councillor DeRose.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I like the idea the resident brought forward to Councillor DeAngela. And just keep in mind, I just want to warn staff, the school's growing by leaps and bounds. We're getting closer to 800 than, I know all three of us grade 8 teachers have to move out to a portable next year, believe it or not. And or this coming fall, a couple of weeks. So that area is going to be worse. And, you know, if we can have any city staff in the bylaw department be attentive to days when it's going to be crowded for events. I could even let you know when the events are, but just because it is dangerous for the children and dangerous for adults too. So just keep that in mind, that it's a growing little community there. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak to that? Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Sean. Sean, has there ever been any consideration for doing what some municipalities do, where for half the year you can park on one side and the other half you park on the other? The reason being that no matter which decision we choose here tonight or when this is decided upon, there will be happier residences and there will be those who are not happy with the result. So in doing a flip through half the year, both sides get a chance to park on the side of the street where their homes are. And I don't know if you've ever considered that or if you've experienced that before.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, why I've certainly experienced it. I've gone to many different municipalities where that has happened. We've never done it in the city of Thorold at this point in time. We certainly could. There's nothing stopping us.
Go ahead, Councillor Decker.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. My only concern is if you switch it to the other side, we're going to be losing parking. And we already don't have enough parking, so a resident's going to complain that they're losing parking spots because you're going to the opposite side.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, probably, I would have to count, but we're probably only losing about 3 parking spots.
I guess as long as they're okay with that, so. Because that's what's gonna happen. They'll complain because they're losing spots then that are available that are not gonna be available. That's just a comment.
Does anyone else? I think we should leave it in staff's hands to evaluate it and make the decision. That's what I think, my opinion. Go ahead, Councillor Dean.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we should move forward, moving it to the other side, and we could put a 1-year time frame on it to determine how it's working in this area. And the reason I say that is because with the further explanation that the school is continually growing, I think we should notify the school and that they should be utilizing that piece of land that's grassed for parking, because we have issues not only with parking, we have issues with the crossing guards, cars parking on the street in front of the crossing guards, speed in those zones. There's a lot happening in this area here. We're just trying to address one item, which is allow fire trucks and safety vehicles to get down Lawrence Avenue and Pamela on busy times so that they can bring the services that are required so that we don't have something bad happen. So that's the restriction of the parking. If it's on one side or the other, the residents may be disappointed they're losing parking, but some are very happy because it'll make their road, make their street a lot safer. So I'm willing to switch it to the other side, look at, I hate to use the word pilot, but pilot it for a year, see what sort of problems we have, and then we may have to work with the school to come up with a better solution with all these vehicles. Because it's not the parking, the residential parking that's causing the problem here. Because I drove down there today at 6 o'clock, or just before council. There's not an excessive amount of cars there. But you go there at 8 o'clock in the morning, you go there at 3 o'clock. I wouldn't even drive near that area because the congestion is brutal because of the amount of vehicles. Because the school is now bursting at the seams. Instead of having 2 schools, they jammed everything into one. Now you're jamming all those cars into one area too. So the school board's not helping us on this issue by expanding their school. They're making our problem even worse. And we're trying to make it safer for our neighborhood. So I think maybe, Mr. Mayor, is that we meet with as a city, meet with the school board to see how we can relieve some of the pressure. When you see a piece of grass land there that used to be tennis court, not being utilized except being cut, meanwhile, we're jamming cars all over. Because this problem is also on Ryerson, it's also on Elgin Street. Like, there's other roads that are being affected by this, and it's only a matter of time before you'll get some issue coming from residents that live on those streets because the same problem's happening there. So, but I'm willing to listen. I thought it was a good suggestion from the resident to put them on the post. That way, we just have to put the no parking signs as opposed to getting a no parking sign and plopping that at the end of someone's grass. So that, my thoughts. So I'd like to amend it. If council in their wisdom sees that it's not a good amendment, I can live with that also. Thank you.
A quick question, though. Have you been in discussions with the school regarding these issues?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, I have not.
Because I think we should be meeting with them, yeah. Go ahead.
I just wanted to second, through you, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to second Councillor D'Angela's motion. Friendly amendment.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just going to put this amendment up on the screen, and you can let me know if I've captured it. I'm not sure which ones the 1 year would apply to, so please advise me so I'm capturing it right.
It's Pamela and Lawrence.
Right, but is there also a time period being proposed on some of these?
Mr. Mayor, maybe I'd add recommendation number 6 that within a year we do a revised review of the area encompassing the school, working with the school board to come up with a better solution. So this way, it gives time for these parking signs sort of to filter themselves in, and if there's any additional concerns or comments from the residents that are locally living there or those that are dropping children off, we have some time to put those together and address them in a more wholesome approach around the school.
Okay, let me see what you have here. Okay. So, there's amendments on number 2's amended, number 3's amended, and number 6 is an addition, okay? Go ahead, ask a question, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is for Mr. Dunsmore. Was there any polling of the residents on Pamela or Lawrence? Did you ask them how they feel? Because I keep hearing that a resident or perhaps a couple of residents spoke about wanting it to change, but do we know that that's the general feeling of the people who live on Pamela and Lawrence?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, we did not. We received a complaint, and then we talked to the fire department, and they identified a safety concern. That's why we're moving forward with it.
And in your opinion, would you be fine if it was moved to the other side?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yeah, it doesn't matter to us.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Further questions, any comments? Now, do we have to vote on the two, each one separate?
Yeah, so we'll vote on the amendments and then I'll
So we'll do 2 as amended, we'll vote on that. We'll do 3 as amended, we'll vote on that. We'll vote on 6, and then we'll vote on the whole unit together.
You can vote on these changes altogether as one, and
Okay.
then I'll put up the new amended motion, and that'll be a separate vote, so
2 votes, okay. So vote 1, did we get a mover and a seconder for that?
it's Councilor and
Counselor DeRose. Okay, so motion, what we're voting on first are the amendments. The change from east to west on 2, 3, and the addition of 6. Okay? Does anybody have any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Now, we're gonna vote on the whole motion as amended, okay? Say mover and seconder?
yes, that's fine.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay. Up next, notices of motion. I see Councillor Hanley, you have 3 notices of motion to bring forward. Just mention what they are. You can work with the clerk on them.
The first one is in regards to a road safety petition from residents of Thorold South on the corner intersection of Davis Road and Niagara Falls Road. I have the petition here from the residents.
Yeah, go ahead. Not second one?
Second one is in regards to a neighborhood defibrillation program. Maybe I could work on the chief with this one. There's now a program in place where municipalities may be eligible for funding to put, example, like in Rolling Meadows at the church there, an outdoor defibrillator that be accessed by the residents. And I'll deal with that with the city. Also, the third one is a notice of motion in regards to amendment to the city council's code of conduct. And I've talked to Nicholas about it, and I'll work with Nicholas in regards to that.
Okay. And did you want to bring that notice of motion tonight or at a future council?
Well, I might as well bring it tonight, and then if it does, it's a notice of motion regarding the amendments to the sign bylaw for community groups.
So you'll work with the appropriate city staff?
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We do have also 2 motions tonight. 14-1 was the heritage designation of 18 River Street, Port Robinson. I'll call on Councillor O'Hare for his motion respecting heritage designation. Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Decker. Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now therefore be it resolved that the corporation of the city of Thorold enacts as follows: that City Council consider 18 River Street, Port Robinson, located in the city of Thorold, as a resource of cultural heritage value and interests in accordance with Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act as amended. That city staff be directed to proceed with the required process to designate 18 River Street under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act, and that the city clerk be directed to provide notice of intention to designate the property in accordance with Section 29 of the Ontario Heritage Act.
Okay, we had a mover and a seconder. Does anyone else want to speak to that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 14.2, financial information respecting Cities Canada Day event, and I'll call on Councillor DeRose for his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do you have a seconder? 1 sec, I need a seconder. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Longo. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Before I read my motion, I just want to thank staff for a wonderful couple of days. My family and I enjoyed it. And so what I'm asking for a motion that staff be directed to prepare a report which details attendance numbers. And I think I have to add a word there, in detailed financial information concerning the City of Thorold's 2024 Canada Day weekend. So I think, Nicholas, there's one word that I would like to add. I can't see it because the pictures are there, or numbers, financial concerning the City of Thorold. Detailed. Just before financial, put detailed.
What?
The detail has to go after financial before. Just take it away. There's no detailed attendance.
Right.
It's a detail, yeah.
Well, you can leave the detail at attendance too. Just curious if they took any numbers, but staff did a great job.
Okay? So there it is. Is there anyone want any further discussion?
And as long as we get it by budget time, that'd be great.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. There's no statements, so we're moving into closed session, and we'll get that up on the screen. Before I ask for a mover and a seconder to go into closed session, I would like to remind you of your obligations respecting closed session, especially we have two that are on by Zoom. Those who are participating electronically in closed session must ensure that no other person is in the location from which they are taking part in the meeting, or make appropriate arrangements so that any other persons cannot see or hear any of the confidential deliberations taking place. If this is not possible, you must withdraw from the meeting until it has reconvened in open session. And now I'll read the motion on the screen as to why we're going into closed session. That council do move into closed, I can't see it all with that.
Want me to do it?
Yeah, because of this, with the screen sharing.
That
Go
council do not move into closed session to receive confidential information respecting, one, a matter respecting advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose under Section 239-2F of the Municipal Act, and a matter respecting a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on by the municipality under Section 239-2K of the Municipal Act, site alteration permits. Number two, a matter respecting litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board under Section 239-2E of the Municipal Act, and a matter respecting advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, again, under 239-2F of the Municipal Act, Superior Court of Justice application. Number three is a matter respecting litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board under Section 239-2E of the Municipal Act, and a matter that is respecting advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. That's under Section 239-2F, again, of the Municipal Act, zoning bylaw nonconformance. Number four is a matter respecting a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on by the municipality, and that's under Section 239-2K of the Municipal Act, Kiefer Mansion property. And fifth, and lastly, a matter respecting a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board under Section 239-2C of the Municipal Act, St. David's Road project update.
Thank you, Clerk. Can I get a mover and a seconder to move into closed session? Got Councillor Hanley, hey? No, Councillor Hanley, and I got Councillor Thorold. Did you have a question?
Yeah, just for procedurally wise, 2 and 3 do not have site locations, but 4 and 5 have site locations. Like, it doesn't really give it just says zoning bylaw nonconformance, but should we put the location of it? And I'm just wondering why the location's not there.
Clerk?
I can put that in if you wish. I think for the site alteration permits, plural, so there were 2. And for zoning bylaw nonconformance, that was with respect to, Jason, do you have the property address offhand?
That is pertaining to 1777 Turner Road.
And Mr. Mayor, the only reason I add is for openness and transparency, so we see that's, because the other 2 have location, like it deals with
Not a
Kiefer
problem.
Mansion. So this way, the general public knows why we're actually going into a closed session, besides just the general topic. Thank you.
Okay, so we had a mover and a seconder to go into closed session. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Those that are on remotely will have to go on to the new stream, right? And